So, how to make a vulnerability through your phone and options in once on a cell phone and whatnot. So, go to your contact list and see everyone you got on there. Go to settings and don't share any of your contacts, whether through Wi-Fi or through your Android cell phone. Just click do not share. Now, when you go back to the page, go in and don't share your photos with Google, and you'll realize one thing. Well, how do I not share my photos with Google? Well, one, you never register your phone with Google. That's why. So you got to pick that option of not to change your password through your cell phone. This is something I'm going to show you real quick through Android, Samsung currently, because that's the phone I have or using. So just go in, and once you get in there, you can look through all the Google Plus settings and whatnot. And you do not actually have to register your phone through Google, unless it's a Google straight phone. But anyway, you don't have to register your phone through Google, but it does limit the access to certain options, but not really. All you do is hit the circle and it'll take you back to your home screen. If it actually locks you out, then more than likely you have a Google phone. But okay, so we're going to go back. We're not going to register Google Plus yet, but if you have a Google Plus account and it's already set up and your phone's already on it, I want those viewers to actually listen up for about 5 seconds to 50 seconds. I'm going to show you something that's a vulnerability in your cell phone. Anyway, after that, click back to get out of Google. Go down, leave it logged in. Go down, hit your camera setting, or not camera setting, but hit your camera button and make a 10-second video of you just talking. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You could be just saying hello to someone. Anyway, after you do the 50-second video, which will roughly take you about 20 to 30 minutes to upload, regardless, you don't need a YouTube account for this, but Google or YouTube will try to get you to set up an account with them. But anyway, if you're one of these YouTube fanatics that like to talk and whatnot, that already have videos established, they're going to kind of just bypass how the phone is vulnerable. But the real easy way to find out if Google or your YouTube or any of your videos are safe is we're going to go in once a video is established on your cell phone, and we're going to try to send it somewhere. When I say we're going to try to send it somewhere, we're going to actually try and utilize a YouTube account. Now, I have a YouTube account. That's how you're viewing this. But at the same time, every now and then the phone will mess up. And when I say the phone will mess up, is when you go in and you go to select where you want to send the video, go and look at all your contacts, just like I had you do, and see how many of your contacts are in that space to where when you hit share on your video, whether on YouTube or not on YouTube, when you hit that share button to send it to like Google Plus, see how many of your friends and your contacts show up, because none of them should. It should say, like if you have a Facebook app, it should say Facebook. It should say Google Plus. Definitely it's going to say YouTube, because you can't upload YouTube videos without having a YouTube account. But it should not say, and this is a fictitious name of a contact, Karen Epsey. Karen Epsey. So if it says Karen Epsey, it shows her phone number and everything, but you do this. You hit the back button, you go back to your contacts, and you pull up Karen Epsey. Click the little double dots and see what the settings are on Karen Epsey individually. Now, with doing it the first way with seeing all the contacts, we just took the share option off, which is good. So now none of the contacts should get any of these videos or any notifications if they have YouTube accounts of any notifications that you just uploaded a video. But anyway, go in under Karen Epsy and see what that setting is. Even go to the edit and see if you're sharing videos with Karen Epsy. Because as soon as that multimedia is attached to the video, and when I say multimedia, you'll see your video, and then all of a sudden when you hit save, it'll come out in a text message. When it shows that text message, that means someone changed an option on your cell phone, whether you did or they did. This is another way to steal cell phone, let alone minutes, but airtime, and actually be able to make Wi-Fi calls through other people's devices. Especially if you know how to utilize an internet changer, ISP changer, or a non-tethering program, which they are out there, where you can tether to someone's phone through what they call virtual. A lot of people will run virtual computers, better known as VM computers with OSs, and they're not 100% untraceable, but they're about 50 to 60% hard to trace and whatnot. So anyway, we go back into Karen Epsy and we hit the settings button or the edit button, and we scroll down, and nowhere in the edit or in the settings are you sharing information with Karen Epsy. And that, like I said, that's just an example. But it shows up in a text multimedia message. Now, the text multimedia message may or may not contain her phone number. And when that happens, you got another problem. You got either someone watching you, or you got someone actually undercoding your text message program on Samsung. That means they're inside the hardware program. When that happens, then the only thing you can redo is reprogram the whole entire computer and see if it resurfaces. Google Plus is one of the major pain in the rear ends, if you like to say, but the highest in vulnerability as far as this problem. Can you steal text messages? Can you steal this, that, or the other thing? Yeah, they can actually shut you off on the pay-as-you-go side with the actual Walmart cards or any card you buy. They can actually steal minutes. They can actually come in and steal text, media, any and all internet that is actually rated. So if you got 4 gigabytes of data to use, they can actually change that by a little bit of hardware programming. As far as a common user, you can do it through multimedia, because multimedia isn't really for pictures or videos as much as it is the streaming of them. This is often the other problem of when you get people who are looking at an OS, or you're looking at a OS for a phone, better known as mobile, looking at programming and saying, I know some of this, but I don't know enough to get me past point B. But because the boss is breathing down their neck, they now got to program something, or they're going to lose their job. Now, that's the problem with today's society, is that type of vulnerability in anything, whether it be banking, whether it be Walmart, especially Walmart, Amazon, Samsung, anywhere you get your bank account information, anywhere where that programmer or that software programmer skips that one critical step, also puts a vulnerability in net security. That means that if that hacker finds that little niche that you screwed up, he can capitalize on it by stealing money out of your account, by going in, racking up debt on your credit cards, by stealing money straight out of, say, Santander, banking. Bank of America was told about this and went not really proactive, but they did a change. They were told to warn the public about a vulnerability. They were told that the vulnerability was taken care of if it existed in their program, and if it did exist, they were to tell the public it did exist. So immediately, as a consumer or a customer or a person trusting any of these banks, the first thing you do is your accounting. You do the accounting. Make sure all your money's there. Make sure it didn't go anywhere, as well as the bank itself does an audit in the last 5 years of banking to make sure that they didn't lose a penny. Hardware and software programs, as well as regular programs, are very, very hard to catch mistakes. Because in certain mods, as I like to say, or certain programming codes, the person could have went back in, corrected the mistake, but left a loophole for himself and actually changed the value. So now all these little accounting problems no longer exist. All the numbers check. Excel, all these other banking programs that don't use Excel or Microsoft Money Baseline all check out to be very, very legit. They are legit now because the banking account or the programming error was fixed, which will recalculate every account out there, because that's how the program works. It's designed to be flawless, but because of recent problems with people getting into countries and stealing certain things from manufacturers, this problem does exist. How do you find out how this problem can be eradicated? It's even possible through this method of this niche of a bad programmer or a bad software programmer or a bad OS to actually cover up the tracks through other things. If they never log it, you'll never find it. So that's why I tell people, when you use your phone, turn on your logs. I tell Android, turn on your logs. Don't let it go to Android, let it go to the phone. Ask to save backups of logs through a cell phone, which they used to do. It was rather annoying in some senses. Backups are encrypted and encoded. You probably won't understand what it means, but when Android or a OS provider come in, or the other program, which was the Central Intelligence Computer Program, which included one thing. Its whole purpose is to actually go through logs through Android, Apple, different Linux programs that are on cell phones and OSs, so that it catches these mistakes. Because there is this very, very small possibility of actually catching someone smart enough, kind of like myself, but there's other people out there who actually will actually figure it out for themselves. It means they have enough education to figure it out. Found one of them back in 1985 to 1986. The person wasn't arrested because he didn't actually do anything to actually be arrested, but he went into an educational facility, had enough education to do it. It means he tested high enough on his scores, his tests, his quizzes, even in whatever was placed in front of him, to prove one thing. To me, he's a triple threat. To everyone else, he's a quadruple triple threat. And that's one thing that I have on my record that I won't say I'm not proud of, but at the same time, I know that if I sit down at a computer and start programming, that I can easily get away with a lot of stuff. And for the purpose of the fact of an investigation being done 5 years in the running of this person to make sure that he actually never broke the law, because it would be very, very hard to, which turned out to be a 20-year investigation. It couldn't be, had to be a 99.9% that he did or did not break the law. And I believe he got away with a 99.9% clean background, which is about the highest you're going to get. You don't always get 100 when you do these investigations. You're talking about zillions and gillions and trillions of lines of code, and people becoming, well, not really becoming, but getting their eyes being too focused because they've been looking at a computer screen or a piece of paper or anything of that sort. So when it came down to it, a 99.8 is pretty good. It means that he probably never broke the law. So I was satisfied with that report. So he was just told one thing, and this may sound like a threat: watch your back. It's not because I'm going to be out there in, Amazon or General Electric. And, I could be a competitor in that sense of the computer field, network, and software programming, architecture, etc., etc. The one thing he didn't test out on was he tested out on the low-end scale of architecture and did pretty good, but he flunked. So that's a high-end plus for him and whatnot. And I had his name written down and noted not only in his file, but also tucked into my file as someone that who, in the status of if I ever went back to it or didn't go back to it, or a person to actually do certain architecture work that I don't have to do, because when you get into architecture, you're looking at a 360, and I'll pick for an example a basketball. You take a basketball, you run as many lines up and down as you can without touching, and that's how much of a pain in the rear end computers can be in the architecture, because if you can't utilize every tiny bit of space on that basketball and whatnot, you're going to drive yourself sooner or later through program after program, through after program, crazy. You'll start going insane, where some people will actually, say, I had enough. I made $50 million, I'm good, see ya. And you could put the easiest program out there in front of them to do. Why don't you just write calculators for me for $50,000 a year? Trust me, you don't want me writing calculators, dude, because right now the way everything upstairs is, but not upstairs in the mind, I need a break. And when they're that honest, and they get a break. I mean, $50 million, you can pretty much, even in today's society, spend 20, 25 years out there on your own, getting better in the sense of allowing your mind to slow down. Because that's often what happens when you write computer code or architecture, especially architecture. Your mind starts speeding up, because now you got to write 10,000 lines of code within 24 hours, and they have to be perfect. Because if you write it slightly imperfect by 5 lines of code, you now got a big problem. Especially in security, especially in whether or not that program can efficiently communicate between two computers and a device without communicating to anything else. But just to let you know about that, sometimes the contacts in these programs end up in multimedia, and it's one of the faults, one of the telltales, that I did not try to send this person my video, but it made its way to their text message inbox as a multimedia message. That's the flaw when the program breaks down. It's always set in there to telltale on the device, on the OS, etc., etc. It means someone made a change that screwed the device up. So now Android has a huge problem. It's not the way as far as to diminish Android. Android's been out there, and they've been utilized in a lot of different ways to try to make their program better. Apple, in another sense, was doing the same thing. Windows, it's gone backwards in their OS, and tearing crap out of Windows was a huge and major problem for Gates. Because now he took a roughly $40 million OS program and trashed it. So, anyway, have a good day. This will take a while to upload because it's over about 19 minutes. So, if you don't quite understand, listen to it a few times, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Because that's how a gap or error or big problem happens on devices. Have a good night.